I didn't know that people could fail at friendships, honestly.
Of course.
It's a very new concept because I'm assuming everyone has those 2 or 3 people at least.
You'll be surprised. They don't.
Wow.
They actually don't. So the struggle is very real in all aspects, whether it's friendship, romance, just at home, in a professional space. You need to understand where the friction is and why is it continuously happening with you. Everyone needs to find a balance between being there for other people, being there for yourself as well. Because what we are taught is that you need to give. All right? You need to be kind. Excessive things of even good things, you will burn out. You will be unhappy. It's okay to be a little selfish. On the other hand, that if you are like extremely selfish and extremely into yourself, then you need to be pulled out a bit to sort of find that middle ground of you need to be invested in other people as well. So the journey is very different for happiness for a lot of people. But understand the essence of anything excessive is a bad thing.
This is a podcast that's going to make you understand your own mind. And more importantly, it's going to make you understand the software or the psychology of your own mind. It's our first psychology special with one of the most reputed psychologists in Mumbai, Havovi Hyderabadwalla. She's spoken about happiness primarily in this episode. We've also touched upon mental health. We've spoken about therapy from a therapist's perspective. I strongly recommend that you watch this podcast till the end because the truth about life is that life is never going to be smooth. You're always going to face some kind of difficulty in your life. This isn't an out-and-out self-improvement episode like how TRS used to be. It's a conversation. It's free-flowing. It's also very deep. It also will lead into our sequel episode, which is a love, sex, and BDSM special. We've spoken about some very deep, maybe controversial subjects in these 2 episodes. She's one of my favorite guests that we've had in recent times, and you guys will see why she is going to become a TRS All-Star. For more episodes like this, make sure you follow us on Spotify. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world because we're a Spotify exclusive now. My meditation app, Level Supermind, is now live. In my own mental health journey and in my own mental health battles, I've constantly used meditation as a tool. You have to combine it with therapy in the long term, according to me. But meditation as an anchoring practice will create magic in your life. It will help strengthen your mind. That's all I'll say. We've touched upon meditation in this one as well, but this particular episode is much more about psychology. So sit back, relax, take some notes, and get ready to dive into your own mind through this very impactful conversation on happiness. Havovi Hyderabadwalla. Welcome to the Ranveer show.
Thank you very much, Ranveer.
We're talking about happiness and joy today. We're talking about mental health. And this is our first Psychology 101 episode as well. But in your mind and your eyes, Psychology 101 and happiness are not exactly the same topic. That's not what it is for the rest of the world. Because I think the rest of the world has gotten to know about mental health, psychologists and psychology because of this aspect called happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we even begin, Havovi Ma'am? Welcome.
Vortex. It's a vortex.
Okay.
You choose which vortex you want to go down into.
Okay, all right. If I were a 5-year-old, how would you explain the subject of psychology to me?
I think more than explaining the psychology, the subject psychology to you, I would make you focus on how are you feeling. I would make you focus on your inner narrative, essentially. That's what I would do with you. And that's how you learn. Like different people learn differently.
Your
right?
inner narrative.
Yes.
So every human being has their own inner voice that's telling them, listen, this is what life is for you. Listen, this is what life is for you.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
So everyone essentially has what we call a life script. And unconsciously, we sort of are fulfilling whatever the script is. We've not really chosen it, but when we stumble upon it, we get to sort of work on it and execute it, right? So for a 5-year-old, or let's say even lesser than 10, I would help them focus on their inner narrative, in their inner world, in their voice. Help them realize right from wrong, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. Being able to speak what is inside you is very important.
I just need to break you a little bit
Sure.
here. Okay, I'm an engineer, and college has taught me to view life quantitatively and in boxes. And that's what I've always tried to do. And then my career as an artist teaches me to break those boxes and kind of think in free space.
Yes.
So I'm going to put both my narratives in front of you.
Sure.
I've had Dr. Sid Warrior on the show, who's a neurologist. He said that neuroscience is like the hardware of the brain and psychology is like the software of the brain.
Yes, that's a perfect narrative.
Okay. So when we're talking about neurons, neural pathways, hacking your mind, all that is a part of the hardware. But psychology and the inner narrative is about the,
It's the software. It's what you put into your mind.
Okay.
And
what dictates the software are your genetics plus your life's experiences plus your friend circle.
Yes.
And the content you consume, etc.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. And then now the artist side has taught me that your mind can and will change continuously throughout your life if you allow it to change.
Yes.
I have a co-founder on this meditation app I'm building. His name's Ayush Anand. He's an IITian. So he's like a peak engineer and he's one of the most quantitative, data-oriented people. And he's also always looking for feedback. So when he asks me for feedback, all I tell him is work on understanding other people, work on empathy.
Right.
Look at life from other eyes' perspectives. And what I mean by that is he sees life from an engineering perspective.
Yes.
But life can be so many other things.
Absolutely.
Now I'll let you continue because that's also a majority of our listeners. A lot of them are from engineering college. India is a very mathematics-oriented country.
It is.
Which is why it's difficult to understand mental health and psychology in the first place.
It is. So I have a lot of people who think in this quantitative manner coming in. Also, it's not necessarily like engineers. It's also our culture. It's how we are brought up.
In India?
In India. Essentially. Why just India? Actually, from all over the world. I've seen people from all over the world. If you're brought up in a quantitative space, it will be very difficult for you to sort of see the emotional side of things. Okay? Let me sort of give you an example. So men, generally, men are essentially taught to be very strong. Okay? Now, they don't know what it is to be emotional. They don't know what it is to sort of see on the other side because their programming is, nahi, mard ko dard nahi hota hai, right? Is to continuously be strong. No matter what, be strong, pull along. It's very new that people are actually talking about men's mental health, which is a very important thing. And they teach you how to rewire your system. So, essentially, if a program is not working, understand what part of the program is not working. Okay? If being absolutely calculative is not working for you, you shift your space from your thinking to a feeling part.
Ma'am, but how do you even know if it's not working?
You will know. See, when are problems, when they're sort of interfering with your daily life, your routine. If you're having a lot of, let's say, family feuds and there's a lot of friction in different parts of your life, automatically, there is something that's up that's not working for me. Okay. Now, to get to that point also where you believe that it's not working for me, it's a bit of a journey. You need to be sort of open to that. It's very hard to be open to those things that you could also have a different formula for functioning. So that's how you get there. Once you get there, you need to recognize your resistance.
Again, the reason I'm stopping you so much in the middle is I think you're talking at a slightly high level. So I'm trying to boil it down for the audiences. And I'm loving this conversation, by the way. But I think the key word for me is friction.
Right.
You need to notice the friction in your life. And this is something college doesn't teach you.
Yes.
You only learn through life, through your relationships.
Yes.
Would you also say that you notice the patterns in your life, how you're talking to family members?
Absolutely.
How you're treating your romantic partners, etc.
Yes.
Okay.
So again, I'll go back to the point where again with an example, because psychology is best taught with examples, that if I'm coming in and I'm saying that I have 3 failed marriages, for example, okay, I will ask you to introspect on what is your pattern. How is it that your marriages are failing? Okay. Or let's say friendships, right? Where are you failing in friendships that they are not working out? What is going on? What is it that you are doing and not doing? When you're also not doing, you're also doing something.
I didn't know that people could fail at friendships, honestly.
Of course.
It's a very new concept because I'm assuming everyone has those 2 or 3 people at least.
You'll be surprised. They don't.
Wow.
They actually don't. So the struggle is very real in all aspects, whether it's friendship, romance, just at home, in a professional space. You need to understand where the friction is and why is it continuously happening with you. What is stopping you from changing your narrative and putting in a new formula to walk further?
Okay. Again, we got to stop here and dive a little bit deeper.
Mm.
How do you apply this change of narrative angle to these situations? For example, let's take that friendship situation. I'm sure that you've had clients like this, but they've had failed friendships. Do they all have common narratives?
No.
It's always a different thing in each
It's
case.
always a different thing.
Okay. So could you shed some light on this?
Sure. So, for example, if you come from a space, let's say, where your parental figures, now when I say parental figures, I mean like teachers, I mean like people older than you, people who've influenced you, let's say they don't believe in friendships at all.
Why would that be the case? There are people like
There
that?
are people like that who are scared to like invest emotionally in other people in the fear of, let's say, heartbreak or just getting hurt.
Maybe they've been double crossed in their own past.
Maybe they have, or maybe it's, let's say, what we call transgenerational. This that my parents have not done it, their parents have not done it, their parents, and it's just sort of passed down that you come alone, you live alone, you die alone. And that's just how it sort of goes. So there are people who are very hesitant and they don't realize there's an inner resistance to like make friends. And when you make friends, how do you fulfill the friendship? Because friendship is also about showing up a lot. So if you have grown up with the mindset of me first, right, it's very difficult to sort of fulfill a two-way relationship.
Just want to throw in an anecdote here. First 6 years
Go
of my
ahead.
career, I got very into my career.
Yeah.
I consciously only made time for my career and my romantic relationship. To some degree, my family. And some of my closest friends got sidelined automatically. Because when they were meeting, I would probably be recording videos or I would be training people for money on
Right.
weekends.
Right.
The closest ones still stuck around and they understood.
Yes.
And after I kind of stabilized my own career, I realized that you need to go for their events. You need to go for their parties.
Yes. You need to show up.
Yeah.
You need to show up.
Huge part of human life. And
Yes.
honestly, when I started doing that, I feel like my mental health got more stabilized.
Definitely. They're a huge part of your support system. Like generally when people come in during first sessions, I ask them about their peers. I ask them about their social support. I ask them about what is beyond their family and their professional life. Because sometimes people aren't able to balance everything. So they cut the one out that is not like they feel is not important.
Or, like in my case, I kind of maybe took my closest friends sort of for granted.
Yeah.
I didn't
and
realize that I was doing that.
unfortunately, it comes very naturally. Ke they'll understand.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they'll understand. They'll understand what I'm doing and they'll be there for me. But some people stick, some people don't. And it's just how it is.
I think the way I rationalize that is, he stuck with me. So he truly loves me. He's truly my friend. This is
Possible.
This is our common acquaintance, as in your acquaintance,
Yeah,
my besties,
yeah,
Arwan
yeah.
Bansha.
It's absolutely possible.
Okay, go on.
So yeah, I mean, it's about changing that inner narrative that where am I struggling? What is stopping me from making friends? You need to ask these deductive questions. Ask yourself, like, what is happening in my system? Why am I not able to do this particular thing?
Hmm.
What is very important is that how do I make it happen?
Okay.
Right? Because asking the why, we'll find out what it is, and that's okay, that's all right. But it's really in the how you're going to make that change, which is really, really important to your life.
As a psychologist, you'll give actionable steps to your
Yes,
clients.
absolutely.
What would the actionable steps be in this case?
Actionable steps would be that I would definitely ask them, are they investing any time in sort of going out? Are they putting themselves in spaces where they can meet people? That is very important. If you sit in your room, right, and you're like, I don't have friends, you don't have friends. Obviously, you don't have friends, right? People are not going to show up into your bedroom just like that. You need to put yourself out there a bit, which is very scary for some people. But you can start small. Like, I would suggest, let's say, going for classes which are like beyond what you are doing. So, like, if you as an engineer came to me, I would actually push you to take something beyond science, beyond engineering, take something creative in nature, which would help you be a little more wholesome. It also activates different parts of you. So the focus is not only on the calculative part, it's also that when you're doing other things, you explore new things and new emotions also come up.
Okay, all right. Again, to understand the psychology 101 situation, maybe a great place to begin understanding it is the kind of clients you get in India.
Hmm.
What are some common problems? Do you have clients from outside the big cities as well?
Outside the big cities, no, unless they've gone from a big city to a smaller city,
Okay.
right? Because it's just education and media, right? In the sense that it's more acceptable, maybe out here. The stigma still stands.
Really?
Absolutely.
Even after Dear Zindagi?
Even after Dear Zindagi, a lot of things. I can very like hopefully and happily say that things have definitely changed.
Okay.
Yeah, you actually have a lot of youth coming in and saying that I want to do this. Like, I definitely know I need help. Can you help me? Right? You have a lot of youth coming in. It's very rare to see people, let's say, above their 40s and 50s coming in, saying that, listen, I need help. Because they are, let's say, very solidly wired and they believe in their reality, they believe in their script, and they believe that it cannot change.
Can it change?
Yes.
Even though their
Yes.
neurons are pretty frozen and like,
We'll defrost them.
okay.
It's also a lot of things that matter, right? It also matters on your conviction. You really want to change. I also have a lot of people coming in and saying that, I want to change and I'm here and I'm committed to the process, and they come. They come for 9, 10 sessions. They come. Do they change? No, not always.
Okay.
So it goes beyond the room. Once you and I are done having that conversation, right? And I tell you what to do, but if you don't do it, there's no change, because change requires movement. We all know that. Change requires movement. And if you're not going to move, you will still be where you are.
Okay, when you go through therapy yourself, I'm sure that if you apply those changes and if you consciously work on changing your narrative, perhaps your narrative will change. My question to you is, when someone hears a conversation like this on a podcast,
Mhm.
if they're doing their regular fitness routine or they're driving and they're
Sure.
listening to this, do they still have that 10% ability to change after this podcast? Or you need to actually go for therapy to get a significant change in your life?
I think if, obviously, I'll say go to therapy. Okay. The 10% who have that inner motivation, who can introspect and really sort of go at it, right? Sure. Sure. You can definitely do it.
Okay.
Right? But essentially, in therapy, you will have a lot of external perspective. There will be things that somebody can see that you cannot see because you're so close to it, right? You need a little bit of distance and you need someone to give you a different lens.
And you need someone to cater to your subjective mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So it's not that the first therapist that you'll go to will be successful. Everybody has a different dialogue. Everyone has a different way of practice. So you need to see what fits you. I have a lot of people coming in and saying, this did not work, this did not work. And that's, that's all right. Let's see if this works for you.
Is therapy like dating? That's the narrative outside, that you need to go to multiple therapists to find the one which works for you. Unless you're really lucky in your first session with someone, it just works out.
Yeah, probably. That's an interesting parallel that you can draw. That,
Okay.
yeah. And just because you get along on the first date doesn't mean you'll get along on the 10th date.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, explain this.
So there are times that sometimes maybe a therapist could go wrong, and that's fine because therapists are human. It's also your right as a client to correct the therapist that you're thinking differently, just like in a relationship.
Like, in what way can a therapist go wrong? Like, they've read a person's mind in some aspect in a wrong manner.
I will take this moment to just say, we cannot read minds. For those people who like I was talking to you before we started, a lot of people come to me and they're like, read my mind, and they open their eyes and be like, what's in my mind? And I'm like, I don't know. That's not what I do. But yeah, if I have gauged you, let's say, slightly off or slightly wrong, okay? Because hota hai. It happens that, there are times that even whether it's friendships, relationships, whatever it is, there are times that people sometimes have a lack of judgment. And that's okay. And you can sort of bring in saying that, no, that's actually not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking something else. Or you could also be very irritated and frustrated with the professional that you're working with because they might have poked you on certain pain points that you need to work on. It is not there to like upset you or insult you, but it is also like sort of challenging your inner construct that you've been hiding from. So either you sort of flesh yourself out and see what about this, upset me, and go back to the drawing board, or you can definitely move ahead to somebody else if you're not feeling comfortable, because there might be one problem, but one problem can be dealt with in different ways. So the conversation will be slightly different.
So, say if it is like dating and you found your dream therapist, is the box that's supposed to be ticked the fact that you feel very comfortable and smooth with that particular therapist, where you just feel it's effortless? Is that like a...
It is effortless. It is very comfortable. Even when you are experiencing discomfort, you are okay being vulnerable with this person. This person is your person. And there are no judgments here.
Okay.
There are no judgments. It's a very unconditional space where you can say and be whatever you want.
Okay. So again, I'm going to kind of give you one of the most common urban objectives, which is career success.
Okay.
I would also put probably romantic success in that same bracket. These are the two most common goals that I see of people around me.
Right.
Am I right in saying that? At least for people in their 20s?
Yeah, definitely. They want to be sorted with both things.
Okay.
Yeah.
What usually happens in the 30s? Because I'm sure more factors get added. Like, what other objectives come into play?
I think it moves from, so just in my head and a very personal like experience sort of thing, I think the 20s is all about love. And in the 30s, you want peace. So when people come in the 30s, the perspective of the 30s is that, I sort of need to iron out whatever is there. I have made mistakes. Let's say there is no like 20s में सिर्फ 20s में love or career is the problem or it's the success. It happens in the 30s also. It happens in the 40s also.
Really?
Yeah. It goes on. Like, just because someone's lived really long doesn't mean they've been successful. They've sometimes fallen very hard and, lived with the script that they have not changed. So this particular thing, 30s essentially, what I see is issues. Like, same issues, maybe slightly more intense.
Really?
Yeah.
It becomes more intense in your 30s.
Yeah.
That would discourage a lot of people my age in the late 20s who are just about to turn 30 and they think they're entering a golden period.
Sure. Every period is a golden period. It's what you make of it, right? Like
Okay.
if today you, me, anybody, if we don't do the work, nothing will happen.
Okay. Just expand this thought of 30s being more intense.
I think you get really fixed in a lot of ways
Hmm.
and you believe a lot of truths which are already set in your system. Okay. That's why people say, right? That's why our parents say get married in your 20s so that, you are more flexible, you're more sorted, you will adjust in your 20s as opposed to your 30s and your 40s. There are people, there are outliers in the norm, right? Which are like able to do these things at different ages. They are there. For example, if I have fulfilled a certain script in my life that has been given to me internally, I have, right? If I have not rectified it, it will definitely show up in the 30s.
Okay. I want to talk about this parental issue thing.
Hmm.
I would actually like for you to begin from Freud and Freudian concepts for people who never even heard the word Freud or the name
Okay.
Freud.
Okay.
Because for me, from whatever little bit I know about psychology,
Hmm.
isn't he called like the father of psychology? But in today's day and age, they've discounted a lot of the things he said. That's my viewpoint on him. But one of the things that he said that actually made some sense to me is when you're an infant, you see your behavioral patterns of people around you, your parents, etc.
Yeah.
And that sets itself onto your mind. So you
Right.
start kind of adopting that as the beginning of the narrative of your life. The
Mhm.
thing is, if the railway track points 1 degree on the right initially, 20 years later, it's going to be very far from where you're supposed to be. So
Hmm.
in your infancy, when you're a toddler, when you're 4 years old and your memories are first forming,
Hmm.
if you see your father talking to your mother in a certain way or your mother talking to people
Yeah.
in a certain way,
Yeah.
you believe that that's reality.
Yes.
That's how all couples are. That's how all families are. That's how all households are. But
Yeah.
then as you grow up, as you become a teenager, that's broken because you go see
Hmm.
your friends' families,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. You
So
do.
I'd love for you to begin with what Freud said, etc. And where does this narrative start for any human being?
So we call him Father Freud, right? Freud spoke about id, ego, and superego. Okay, three concepts within a person. Okay, the id is what you are talking about. All right, it is the formative years. It is based on what we call the pleasure principle, that you need to be fulfilled at that time. So think of a baby who's hungry. It's like that. Okay. The third concept, okay, I'm skipping the second, I'm going to the third first. The third is called the superego. The superego is literally how you function in society, the adult version of you, how you function in society. I'm really, really sort of breaking this down and boiling this down for everybody to sort of understand the essence of it. Okay, because we don't want to like go into like deep dive theory. And the ego essentially is a very big part of you. And this is not like, "Ye tera ego kitna bada hai." It's not that kind of ego. It is a part of you. All three are a part of you. Okay? The ego is you, the person. All right? The person that also learns to sort of um, try and balance and see where you lie. Okay?
Self-analysis.
The self, not analysis,
Okay.
the self. So that's what, so that's one of the many things that Freud has said, right? You have like the whole tip of the iceberg also, where you have your consciousness, your subconsciousness, and your unconscious, which you see very much under, an ocean where most of the things lie. That's another theory of Freud as well. Okay. Where your thoughts lie, where do things come from, where do they translate from, right? Whether it's your thinking or whether it's doing also, You think of the unconscious mind as a huge library of file cabinets or books. Some you touch, some you don't touch. Sometimes you don't even know where certain things come from. It's only when you sort of deep dive, you understand where certain things are coming from.
Okay. Have you seen Bruce Almighty?
Absolutely.
Where
Yes.
Jim Carrey meets God for the first time, which is Morgan Freeman. And Morgan
Yes.
Freeman shows him an office full of drawers, and each drawer contains every thought that he's ever had.
Yeah.
Good representation of the unconscious mind.
Interesting. It could be.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for people to really like have a picture of it, we can go with it.
Okay, sure. Suddenly you just remember some random memory and you're like, oh, that had also happened. Also, you meet a friend who says, remember when that happened? You're like, yeah, that had happened, but I hadn't thought of that since 8th standard.
Correct.
That's from your unconscious mind?
No.
Okay.
No. That could also be like just long term memory. How do I put this? They are storehouses, the unconscious and the subconscious. They are storehouses, and the conscious mind sort of then acts out what it thinks is right.
What's the difference between the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind?
You don't have access to the unconscious mind on, like, let's say, when you're awake. Okay, if I had to put it in a very simple manner, generally that's how like people end up going for like hypnosis, to have access to the unconscious mind. Okay, the subconscious can also be accessed when you are awake and when you are sleeping, but essentially yes, when you are, we say subconsciously you actually mean this. Like there are times where people pull you up and say, actually now you actually mean this. For example, you're angry and you lash out. Okay, what your subconscious probably wants to do or say is sad, but the mask is that of anger, because anger is more acceptable.
Do you still utilize these concepts from Freud in modern day psychology?
As an Indian therapist, I have to be an eclectic professional, and this is something I say to my students as well as people, that what it means is that I need to know multiple schools of thought to deal with one person.
Eclectic means?
Eclectic means I need to know at least 3-4 schools of thought to be able to deal with a person.
Okay.
Because we're very multi-layered.
In India.
We're very, very multi-layered. We come from a very diverse background. So essentially what works for one may not work for the other one. So you need to know how to like switch your gear into something that will work for the person who's sitting opposite to you.
Which only comes through experience?
Absolutely.
So are older psychologists technically better? Like that's the case with doctors also?
I have a different perspective. My perspective is that it is how much you put into your training as well. It's your life experience as well. Because I'm 36. I have 60-year-olds coming to me. And they sort of show up for therapy time and time and again, and they want to change. And they never once say that you've never seen life, you don't know life, right? It's also other things that the therapist brings. You bring yourself, you bring whatever wisdom you have, whatever you have, your authentic self. You bring it to the table. And it will shake the opposite person, like especially if they're talking to someone younger, because that's a very real thing in our culture. Like, what advice can you give me? I've seen like 40 more Diwalis than you, right? That's the common notion. But with conversation, you can break that.
Okay.
And it's really about how much you've learned, how much you've done. I know professionals way more junior than I am, but achieved a lot more, probably. They've had 100 publications nationally, internationally. They're really ahead of their time. So it's really how much effort you put into yourself and how you present yourself eventually. So yes, the older therapists bring a different kind of wisdom also. I think you need to upgrade. Everybody upgrades.
I'll give you a very raw amateur perspective.
Sure.
I think when I was still stuck in my engineering mindset, which is at about age 26, 27, I wouldn't look down upon psychologists, but I would question that how can you encapsulate the human mind into books? Because it's so subjective and so vast.
Exactly. You're right.
The way I answered that question for myself, and I spoke to Gayatri, who's our common contact, she actually has got us in touch.
Yes.
I understood your world better, and I figured that y'all are therapists and psychologists are way deeper in that journey of understanding the human mind than the average person. So you can't just say, oh, they don't know anything because they're just 10 feet down in that ocean and not at the bottom, which is 80 feet. But they're still 10 feet below you. They know the human mind better than you do. And I have a lot of psychologist friends who, in a very friendly manner, have never given me therapy, but they've just told me certain things just as like nuggets of, listen, I think this will help you. And it's actually helped me. It's given me a sense of stability.
I will tell you, after like doing this for really long, your books will not give you everything. And I say this to people I teach, I say this to fellow professionals. You need to go out there, you need to experience the world. Take your own life experiences, put it out there. You know, if you say, I empathize with you in a therapy session, do you actually empathize with me? Right? From that, I can have what we call as a slight therapeutic disclosure, self-disclosure, that therapists can do without giving too much information, saying that, yeah, I had a similar, let's say, issue in my life. And I actually know that's bringing humanity, right? You're giving it that human touch. So it's not, I know people who are academically insanely sound, but when I ask them to translate, there's nothing there.
Do I need therapy?
Everyone needs therapy.
Okay.
Everyone needs therapy. Like, if you have a brain, you have a mind, it's functional, please go get therapy. It's not that scary. The right therapist can really make a difference to your life. Really, really help you at many levels. Really show you what is happening in the system. It's also your choice whether you want to fix it or not. There's not going to be a therapist who like twists your arm and says, "Nee, ye to fix karna hi padega for sure." No, it doesn't work like that. Okay? It works like a team. Like, I can speak for myself. I work like I'm in a team. Sometimes also I need to be a leader. At those points, I will interject. Right? But otherwise, I'll be your buddy. I will walk you through it. I'll help you through it. Let's see what are the hurdles. Let's, sort of sieve out what is not required. And if you require something that's unhealthy, what is the attachment to it? So it's important. All I'm saying is that give it a chance.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, what we've learned from media is therapy is scary. That if you go to a mental health professional, you're crazy. Shock de denge. A lot of people come to me and they're like, will you give me shock therapy? No, it's not what we do. It's not for everyone. All right. So please don't have that. They are also very scared of medication. They know something is wrong. They also know that a lot of people come, first time they come and they'll be like, I will do anything, but I'm not going to take medication. And that's okay. I don't contest you at that point in time. I do want to understand where you are coming from. Because today when we say like cardiac issue hai, kidney issue hai, we take medication for it and we take it happily.
What kind of medication is used in psychological therapy?
So essentially for medication, you would not come to me. You would go to a psychiatrist. Yeah. Okay. And based on like tests and, your diagnosis, they will know what to give you. Like, you had a distinguished neuro guest, right? They talk to you very biologically. Now, if that is the hardware, now I can't do anything if the hardware is not on point. I can't do as much with you as I could. Like today, if someone comes to me who is chronically anxious and chronically depressed, right? I can't do this on my own. We can't do it with any level of toxic positivity or positivity for that matter. Like if your physical system is not on board, then we need to put some sort of fuel in, right? Like there's a car, okay? Car is very good looking, but it only stays in the parking क्योंकि उसमें fuel नहीं है. Now, if there's no fuel in the car, what am I going to do with the car, right? How am I going to take it out? So that fuel is very important. And what kind of medication? It's very subjective. Now, it depends. Now, for example, let's say many things can go wrong with one thing, right? So, for example, with your heart, you can have low BP, you can have high BP, right? Medication is different, but medication is important. Along with exercising, along with your diet, both are very, very important.
Okay.
Right? Everything is important. It's a ecosystem that you build for yourself. And people don't talk to people about their winning stories. I just have people coming in and telling, oh, we will get addicted and it'll be bad for us. No, there's a whole industry based on science to help you. There's got to be something good over there, right? I have a lot of winning stories with good people who've taken medication. They know they need medication, and it's a hard journey. Like, because the stigma is if you're crazy, you need medication, you get addicted. The narrative is all very, very wrong.
The social narrative I've heard a lot is kids are sometimes put on medication, which slows them down and then affects their growth. And often this is associated with ADHD.
Right.
Is how much truth is there to that?
Different people will sort of have different side effects. Number one, it depends on the drugs that you use. My advice to anybody would be definitely go and see what works for you. Sort of associate yourself with professionals, psychiatrists, psychologists who have knowledge. Don't always look at like super senior people. There are a lot of new things happening, which a lot of the junior doctors may be more aware of sometimes. And this has been my very recent experience because the juniors want to learn a lot. Super senior doctors might be very busy and they might have become teachers. Very few people upgrade themselves. There are the lot that upgrade themselves for sure. But be in touch with someone who's available. If you feel like something's wrong, something is going wrong, try and have that communication and that liberty with your professional that you can say, hey, listen, I've just switched medication. I need to talk to somebody. I'm feeling slightly off. Allow the professional to be there for you.
At what point do you realize that you need a psychiatrist and not a psychologist?
A lot of people come to me. So I'm a psychotherapist, psychologist, right? So they come to me, and when I diagnose them and I tell them to what degree, right, they need help and how much I can help them. So that's a good starting point.
Okay.
You can go to a therapist, then maybe the therapist can guide you.
Got it.
You can also go to a psychiatrist who then will, then sort of tell you that, okay, you also need therapy along with medication. Because again, hardware, software.
While we speak so much about mental health nowadays, I can at least speak on behalf of the digital janta. A lot of mental health chatter.
Yes.
Honestly, what really kind of set it off was, unfortunately, Sushant Singh Rajput's demise on the internet.
Right.
Because that was linked to depression. Then people started talking about mental health, and parallelly, it happened during COVID when everyone was dealing with some sort of mental health issue.
Yes.
Even the most stable people were dealing with something during COVID.
Yeah.
Now it's like the pendulum has swung to one extreme where every teenager is also saying, listen, I'm depressed. And that's what a lot of the monks who come on the show highlight. And they say that how do people throw that word so easily? Depression is a real thing. But when every second teenager is saying that they're depressed, there's either got to be something extremely wrong going on in society that they're actually depressed, or these guys are kind of latching onto that wave of it's cool to be depressed nowadays. You want to say anything about depression and this whole angle of it being kind of cool to be a victim also?
I would say that if you're really feeling low, because there are times that there are people who actually do feel low and they have gotten a platform to express. All right. Now, from a very preventive point of view, right, there are ones that will cry wolf. There are people who actually are crying for help. And to filter that out, definitely go speak to someone.
A professional.
Speak to a professional.
Okay.
Okay. Whoever you have access to, please speak to them to actually check in and see whether is this something real? Is it something that is passing? Has it been around? Is it something that you are carrying? You won't be able to gauge that as well. Yes, you are going through the journey, right? But let a professional tell you these things.
Is it true that words have power, and when you're talking about subjective narratives, the things you say to yourself or the conversations you have with your friends, do they actually have a psychological impact on how your narrative?
I believe so. I definitely believe so. I get a lot of people to change the way they speak to themselves. I go from I can't do it to I'm going to try and then progress. Because it's a different feeling. If you say it out loud to yourself, I can't do it, the feelings that come with I can't do it then sort of loom around.
Yeah, I think in the middle, the one thing I noticed is people found it very cool to say, oh, my mental health is getting affected, and leave the conversation there. So what are you doing about it? Are you going to a professional? Are you?
Most of them don't. Most of them don't.
It's just the fact that people love being a victim nowadays. A lot of younger people.
It's what I call sometimes an emotional drug.
Hasn't?
It's like an emotional drug, right?
You become addicted to feeling.
Yes, you get addicted to feeling bad, but let this term not be used in a loose manner. Sometimes you don't realize that you are addicted to that particular stance of being a victim. Like, why is everything bad for you? That is something you need to sort of introspect, sit with someone if you can't do it alone, and see what is happening in your internal world. How can you fix it for yourself? How can it be better for you?
Okay.
If you can't fix it, because a lot of things you cannot fix, and the mentality is very clinical, right? And in the clinical world, it is let's fix this problem, let's fix. Sometimes you can't fix. Sometimes you manage. And another very beautiful perspective very recently where, I got to teach Gayatri is positive psychology. It doesn't mean toxic positivity. It means strength building. I don't see where you are lacking and what is missing, but I take what you have and I build on it.
Like, you'll have to break it down through an example.
Sure. I'm not going to say very recently, a couple of years ago, for example, I read about a very interesting case of not a serial killer, but a killer, someone who would be paid money to go out there, kill people, etc. Eventually, after many murders and many killings, was caught, put into rehabilitation.
This is Indian?
This is Indian. This is very much Indian.
It sounds like Mumbai.
Not really Mumbai. The rehab was not in Mumbai, but Mumbai-Pune highway is what I remember. And this person sat with his therapist, and his therapist was like, what do you see yourself doing in life? And the person was like, I don't know. I don't have a skill set. The skill set I have is like killing people. You can't really do that. And they're thinking. And this is where wisdom is so important. And this is what textbooks don't teach you. The therapist sort of came in and said, what is the thing that you know? Like, really think about it. He's like, all my life, all I have done is run. That particular person today runs for a profession. He's a professional sprinter. And he runs different places. How you have your ad campaigns and you have, people representing people, running, doing it for charities. He is a professional sprinter now. That's what we call strength building. And that also comes from the wisdom of, let's say, a good guide, a good coach, a good mentor, a good therapist, somebody who can help you really see something and figure that out.
Okay, now what I'm going to bring up might sound very cliched and kind of run of the mill, very vanilla. I feel if you find your passion in life, it can protect your mental health in so many ways.
Definitely. And that's why there's so much of bad mental health right now, because people are not pursuing what they want to do. And that's been the problem for so long. If you're not going to live, and believe me, this is a very hard struggle, authenticity is so important.
You know, the rebuttal to what you said, and I don't agree with the rebuttal, but this is what people's rebuttal is.
Yeah.
They say that, oh, I don't have the financial capability of doing what I want. And I disagree with that because it's 2023 now. The world of jobs is changing. If you really look for it, you will find something you enjoy doing, especially in the startup world.
If I had to sort of take your example, right? And I think it was a recent post of yours where you said, my parents sort of decided to not help me financially and you started from scratch, right? You did start all of this from scratch, right? There will be times it will be hard. You want to find a way around it, you definitely can. Okay? Everyone doesn't have the same opportunities. Sometimes you have to create your opportunities. You created your opportunity. Yes, we are, luckier than most.
I feel I'm being recognized now, 8 years in.
Yeah.
Like there was moments even in year 6, year 5 where I felt like I'm just being overlooked.
Yeah, that's a very long time. 8 years is a very, very long time. And only you'll feel the time. Right? When you say 8 years, you feel it's long. A lot of senior people will be like, हाँ ठीक है, सिर्फ 8 साल किया. Right? So the rebuttal, yes, I hear the rebuttal because the rebuttal is given to me a lot during sessions as well. When we start like talking about managing and finding opportunities, making opportunities, it is a difficult maze to maneuver. It definitely is. And not discarding that it is difficult at all. But like you said, it's 2023. We can sort of try and find opportunities, if not anything else. Start somewhere, start anywhere. Start small, but move forward. Definitely move forward in your capacity. You never know who you stumble upon. Okay? And I will be very loud and proud about this. I was just somebody teaching, giving a lecture. I didn't even know I could end up here. And this is a very, very big deal for me, right? So that's just how it works. You never know who knows you, how they know you, where they know you from, but it just happens. Connections work. It happens.
You have to just keep at it.
You just sort of keep at it. And I know consistency is also hard because that's something a lot of people struggle with. I do too, many times, but it's something you just keep going at. Even in a 0.1 manner, even on a bad day, if you can do just like 1 on 10, it's counted for something.
I'd like to highlight something you said previously on this episode, which is that your conscious mind will be saying, listen, I'm not as privileged as this guy to do what I want. But your subconscious mind is saying, maybe I'm not brave enough to actually do that thing, which is why I'll overcome my fear with throwing shit on someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're from the, digital space and you can see how much, sort of people throw at you.
Oh, yeah.
No one's asking them, but they throw it at you. And that's massive amounts of projection. There's a lot of disdain in it. There's a lot of but beyond all of that, there's a lot of sadness in it.
Yeah.
Right? It's the reality. People listening to this may not even like what I am saying and they might throw crap at this as well. But it's the unfortunate truth.
I gotta ask you about the spiritual stuff as well. Does it go hand in hand with psychology? I know theoretically it probably doesn't. And I'll tell you why. Now, my spiritual journey included a lot of meditation, which I'm still doing every day, but it includes a lot of sort of self-analysis and behavioral analysis as well, where we're told in my particular meditation school that the moment you start feeling anger and you act upon it, understand that's something against our path. So initially, don't act upon your anger, don't lash out because your actions matter and you're putting out that fire into the world. And over time, you need to also be able to spot when the anger is rising. It's a very difficult process. It probably took a couple of years.
It is.
But along with the yoga that they put us through, along with the meditation they put us through,
Mm.
I've seriously reached a point where now I feel I have like complete control over my anger.
Mm.
There's very few times, maybe like twice a year,
Mm.
but I'll have to lash out to someone, even if something's gone completely astray, if there's a
Right.
very terrible situation.
Right.
And it's been a positive for me. And I know that this doesn't apply to everyone.
Mm.
Of course, you need all that yoga and meditation to really
Mm.
strengthen your emotional side. So this is not advice. I'm just trying to relay my own experience.
Mm.
Does this help psychologists? Like, how do psychologists look at the world of spirituality? Because I've always seen varied perspectives. Different psychologists will look at it differently. Someone will say, yeah, this is good. Someone will say, no, but this is not real. This is not natural. So I'd like to know, while I ask you a general question, I know this is a personal question. How do you look at it?
It's a very good question. So there is a school of psycho-spiritual people, and there are psychologists who understand spirituality because they also learn spirituality. They sort of also make it a part of their practice, which is pros and cons, right? There is the extremely scientific school of thought that what is this? Like, how does this work? Yeah, yes, you may have research on it that says, yeah, that, a lot of things change when you meditate. Yes, okay, fine. I'm somewhere in between, to be very honest. I'm very, do what works for you. All right. I'm also very scientific in the sense that suppose you are having um, something that does require medication. All right. I'm not going to tell you to only meditate. I will tell you meditate and medicate.
Okay.
Both go hand in hand.
How do you look at meditation? Like, what do you think it does to the software?
I think it's an amazing complementary thing. I don't think everyone can use it just individually, especially when you have a lot of issues, right? I think that people who understand spirituality also know that they will need help. And it's not always sitting and meditating. Meditation can sometimes get you from point A to point B to recognize what your resistance is. You find it. Sure. All right. What do you want to do after that? And that change, someone might have to assist you. Okay. It's also very time bound. Now, do you want to take many, many years and change? Sure, maybe it'll come around, but the process will be very slow. Okay. I've seen a lot of people come to me and say, I pray. Is that okay? Of course, that's okay. Does it make you feel good? Of course, that's okay. Why shouldn't you pray? Pray to whoever you want. That's fine. Right? Can I meditate? Definitely. And for me, when people come in, let's say, for example, anxiety and depression, there is an upheaval in the nervous system. Now, when I need to sort of help you with that, I need to, let's say, rewire it. How do I rewire it? Grounding, meditation, they're very, very important. Suppose I faced some sort of trauma, all right? Now, my response to everything is from that survival point of view. But life is not like that anymore, right? I need to help your nervous system sort of understand to come to a base level where you can sort of gauge that everything doesn't have to be responded from a survival point of view or from an attack point of view or from a run point of view. Anything excessive is bad. So you can gauge and sort of move ahead. But I need to sort of rewire that system. So meditation helps a lot. Grounding helps a lot. We all know that there is, uh, I think I heard one of your guests say this, that we all have a certain level of electricity in our system, right? This needs to sort of keep going. This energy needs to keep going, right? So for that, meditation is definitely a plus point. is everything going to get sorted just by meditating? It's like saying, I have many blockages in my heart, and I'm sort of at 10% heart beating. Is meditation the only thing that I'm going to advise you to do? No. I need a surgery, I need medication, I need to also teach you how to eat right, how to exercise right. Like I said, it's a ecosystem that you have to build with yourself.
Yeah. And I used to be one of those people who thought that meditation is the only answer. And age and the meditation itself taught me that no, you need to combine it with
Yes.
psychology as well.
You definitely do.
Yeah. Because I think the biggest jump I had from a brain perspective was on the show, talking to guests, especially the ones related to neuroscience, etc.
Right.
And while I feel meditation is a great way to connect to a higher spiritual power and to increase the time between your reaction and your response, like you get a lot of control over your brain. There are certain patterns which you've inherited from, I won't just say your parents and family, but from life and your peers.
Yeah.
And from this urban jungle that we live in.
Yes.
That you would be better without. And to unlearn certain things, you need a psychologist.
Unlearning is very hard. It is very hard, and it is definitely not up for so many people because they're so in their reality and their comfort zone that they don't mind the suffrage, unfortunately.
If you have a plant and you put fertilizer and water into that plant, you're basically taking some of your energy and transferring it to your plant.
Yes.
Now, life, I feel, works the same way. Where if you want your career to grow, put your consciousness on it.
Yeah, you're going to have to.
If you want your brain to change, you have to put your consciousness on it.
Definitely.
And I'd like to quote Dr. Sid Warrior and what he said on the show about neuroplasticity. Your brain is like a tree where the kind of more primitive parts are like the tree trunk. They're also the more important parts. Your spinal cord, your medulla oblongata. But your actual cerebrum is the main body of the tree. And the branches can keep changing throughout life if you stimulate them enough, if you challenge yourself enough, if you unlearn enough, if you learn enough. That process is called neuroplasticity, where the neurons realign themselves. Now, again, speaking little neuroscience, neuroplasticity becomes faster when you focus on your sleep a lot, or you focus on deep rest, like in yoga nidra or meditation. This is, I'm quoting Dr. Huberman here. He keeps talking about this, that if you want to hasten that pace of change in your mind, focus on sleep, focus on rest, focus on meditation, these things. But I feel you need to know what direction to grow your tree in also, which will come from psychology.
Yes, definitely. Because, and you might have seen me smiling while you were saying rest. Rest is so underrated, especially in our urban jungle. Rest is so underrated. Sleep is underrated. How are you going to be productive? And I give this analogy a lot in just a lot of my sessions, where think of yourself as a boxer in a ring. Okay? Ding, ding, ding. Bell goes, you fight. There's no bell. You're fighting. What's going to happen to you? If the round doesn't end and it just goes into the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, what's going to happen to you?
You're going to burn yourself out. A burnout's a problem you see often.
Absolutely.
But what is a burnout? Matlab, like exactly what happens? And usually what age is it at?
Right now it's coming way more younger than expected. Generally, we would think like burnouts come after many, many years of experience and many years in a particular system. And some people don't even recognize burnout because they are so hyped up on their own fuel, they don't know how to rest. Like we've entered a space where people don't know how to be and how to rest. Going back to COVID, people did not know how to be at home. All we know is the race, the rat race. There's no slowing down. There's no calming down. There's just like, yes, this, go for it. Pressure aa raha hai, yahan se pressure ho raha hai, this. Madam, ab calm. You don't understand. We work in this organization. Understood everything. Boundaries are very important.
Professional boundaries, you mean?
Professional boundaries, personal boundaries, romantic boundaries. Boundaries are very important. You need to rest. Body needs to rest, right? Just the way cars need to rest, you have your equipment that needs to rest. Human beings need to rest.
What are the symptoms of the burnout?
You will be falling back in work. You are not as productive as you used to be. Okay. Emotionally, all of a sudden, there's an upheaval. You find yourself being very erratic. You might be lashing out unnecessarily, or you might be breaking down a lot. So, burnout comes like that. Eating habits are very, very bad. Sleeping habits are very, very bad. Self care is very, very low. Okay. There are times that your attention also gets very affected. So these are all those signs. Like, you know the work, you know what you need to do, but somehow you just sort of like you blank out at different points. You could be the best at what you're doing, but if you don't listen to your body, at one point it's going to override you and be like, it's time to sleep. It's time to take a nap. It's time to wind down, which is very, very important.
And what age did you usually see burnouts happen at versus now?
I am seeing it as young as in college,
Really?
at bachelor's level, at master's level, before they're entering the workforce, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with it. Now I want to do something else. I'm also seeing people like as they grow academically, they're completely burnt out with higher degrees, like their PhDs, where you have to really deep dive. They really deep dive, and you don't have time for anything else, right? So I'm seeing it as young as that because of the demand of perfection, the demand of performance. You have to do well. This is the only way to do life, that you have to do it well, right? We see a lot that, creativity is not given enough footage in any child's life. Sports, creativity. I am seeing trends change, but I also have a chunk of people coming and saying, पर मेरा बेटा मेरा बेटी science कर सकता है ना, can they do science? Yes, but then what? Like, you are signing up the child to be miserable for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and they're doing what you want to do. Did you ask the child what they want to do? And the comeback is, बच्चा है.
What does he know? What does
What
she
does
know?
he know? Or what does she know? Children know. Children know. You have to garner that sense of self, that adult in every person. They know what they want to do.
I honestly feel the capitalistic perspective here is that there's enough money to be made in the world, and
Absolutely. I mean, look at what people are making money out of. We would never think that this would possibly happen at one point.
yeah, it's just parents need to understand it's not the 1990s anymore.
But it's what they have learned. So they will say that this is the formula, ye safe hai, this works. There's a lot of safety in what you know versus the unknown, right?
I'm hoping that content changes that going forward.
It is. It definitely is, but it's very neo-nascent. It's extremely neo-nascent. It has a lot of work that needs to be put in, a lot of fuel that needs to be put in. And what is convincing for parents to change now is visibility, when they can see that people are doing different things besides being your generic doctor, engineer, etc., etc. They are seeing that, oh, having your own podcast is a real thing. Or like being a musician now is a very real thing. Yes, if you don't put in the hard work, no matter where you are, you will fall.
Yeah.
So,
Havovi Hyderabadwalla, this is almost the end of the episode. Kind of a heavy episode.
yes.
Glad the audience got to see these basics of psychology. But because it was themed around happiness, you just told me that maybe this episode isn't really about happiness. For me, it is, because we highlighted sadness a lot. And I feel you need to learn about the darkness in order to learn about the light.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
what would
And
you
what
like
you
to
want
say?
to do with that after that, like, that is what is really important. Like, a lot of people want to reach happiness, I want to say this out loud, and I say this to a lot of people because they come and they're like, I want to be happy. And I'm like, what's happy for you?
And why do you want to be happy?
No, I won't question why do you want to be happy. I will question what according to you is happiness. How will you know that you've reached that point? Because visibly there's friction in your system, right? And like, if I had to go to like um, basic psychology, Rogerian psychology, okay, which is very famous because of person-centered psychology, and in that there's a lot of unconditional love. All right, there's a lot of unconditional love, which is the theme. And what Carl Rogers sort of explained was that when you have a problem with the real self and the ideal self, right, they are two different parts of the same person. Okay. Uh, what you want to be and what you are doing don't sort of match.
Real self is what you're doing, and ideal self is what you want to be.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So there is a big void between the two. How do I merge it? And that's your happy space.
And this is the case for every human being.
If you look at it from that perspective, like if they are unhappy about something, that they would think that the ideal version of them would handle it very differently, and the real version of them is handling certain things in a very distraught manner, and they wouldn't like it like that. So the space and the distance becomes a lot. Sometimes they are not able to merge, right? There are certain situations, there are always outliers where they can't merge. And that's okay. You have to do your best in that bit. The point is
But why can't they merge?
um there's certain situations where you can't help but be angry, right? If I ask you like practically to be sober about sensitive topics like trigger warning, like sexual violence, right? There is no bright side to it. There is no bright light, oh, this is the good side. No, there isn't. The truth of it, that there isn't, right? How you come out of it, yes, you've become stronger, but it's still not pleasant, right? So some things definitely demand that there might be a very negative emotion to it, and it's okay to be negative sometimes. Make it a part of your life and make it a habit, then it'll destroy you. Like if you think everything should be like sort of met with anger, you are constantly going to be an angry person. And if you ask, how did I become this person? You are responsible. Like out loud, again, telling everyone, happiness is your responsibility, right? It is your responsibility. You need to do your best. Maybe you won't be a 10 on 10. It's okay. You work towards it. I have a very favorite sort of like anecdote, proverb, whatever you want to call it. It's like little drops of water make a mighty ocean. It's not that your work is going down the drain. Everyone has bad days, and that's okay. You focus on the ocean. Focus on the ocean. Just that you're getting there, that you'll get there at some point.
Hmm.
So let that happiness be. Let it come to you. Go to it.
Again, because all your clients are Indian, what's the general, and I know you can't generalize here, but still, what's the most common path to that happiness for an Indian mind? What have you noticed? Of course, it's subjective.
It's subjective, but if I had to sort of like really boil it down, when people do come to me, rewiring the system is very important because doing good is at up top, right? How do you get to happiness? By being the constant good person sometimes. You can compromise a lot on your happiness and not be happy. Being the good kid at home, okay, and this might be a very dual-edged sort of message that we're sending out there, but everyone needs to find a balance between being there for other people, being there for yourself as well. Because what we are taught is that you need to give, give, give. All right. You need to be kind. Excessive things of even good things, you will burn out. You will be unhappy. It's okay to be a little selfish. On the other hand, that if you are like extremely selfish and extremely into yourself, then you need to be pulled out a bit to sort of find that middle ground of you need to be invested in other people as well. So the journey is very different for happiness for a lot of people, but understand the essence of anything excessive is a bad thing. Being very good, being very bad, either way, it will come and sort of do a full circle. So, balance.
Without probing you further, I will now end this conversation. Havovi Ma'am, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just got to learn a lot from you. Don't have anything to say. I think this was a pretty wholesome, heartfelt conversation. Usually I end it in a very heartfelt way, but no one ended in a heartfelt way here. So thank you, man.
Thank you.
That was simply episode 1 with this epic new guest that we found. I wish I could have recorded some of the conversations I had with Havovi Ma'am outside of the studio as well. There's some incredible podcast coming up with her, but look out for the next one. It's our Valentine's Day special. We've spoken about some very intense topics related to modern day relationships, modern day romance. I highly recommend that all of you go watch that one. And I'm pretty sure that that one's going to get more clicks than this one did. So if you want to spread the word about mental health, about therapy, about psychology, I urge you to share this episode with your friends, share it on Instagram. It'll mean a lot to the journey of TRS. I feel this is one of the most important TRS episodes because it's about the true nature of human existence, which is the chase for happiness. I hope you enjoyed this one. For more episodes like this, make sure you follow us on Spotify. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. As usual, I will request you to also download my meditation app, Level Supermind. Lots of English meditations as well as regional language meditations are now live on Level. You'll enjoy it. You will grow through it. And until next time, from Ranveer and the team and Havovi Ma'am, we'll see you later.